Alright, let's get our hands dirty. We are moving into the sacred vow phase of the production, which means we need to build Alex and his sanctuary of broken dreams. In this segment, we're focusing heavily on stylized character modeling and environmental storytelling. When you look at the viewport right now, you'll see I'm starting with a very basic human base mesh for Alex. The goal isn't anatomical perfection, it's character. We need him to look like a guy who thinks he's a warrior but hasn't seen a gym in 3 years. Notice how I'm sagging the shoulders slightly and giving him that hollow-eyed look of someone who has spent too much time looking at a monitor. If you want to see the specific brush settings I use for the skin folds and that tired gamer expression, you can jump ahead to the 45-minute mark of this video where I go into the high poly sculpt. While I'm blocking out Alex's apartment, I want to talk about the 14 separate takeout deliveries. This is a classic 3D challenge. How do you fill a room with junk without manually placing every single box? We're going to use a procedural approach. I've modeled 3 variations of a greasy takeout container, a pizza box, a noodle carton, and a burger wrapper. Around the 1 hour 20-minute mark, I'll show you a geometry node setup that scatters these items with randomized rotation and scale. This is a massive time saver. Instead of spending 2 hours placing trash, we spend 10 minutes building a system that does it for us. It gives the room that lived in, operation, pure vessel, failure vibe, instantly. Now, let's talk about the Discipline Bot 2000. This thing needs to look like a metallic nightmare, not a sleek Apple product. I'm using a destructive modeling workflow here. Lots of booleans and bevels to create those sharp, unfriendly edges. The 5 misaligned eyes are the focal point to make them feel creepy. I'm not mirroring them. Each eye is a different size and sits at a slightly different depth in the skull. This creates a visual, uncanny valley effect that makes the viewer uncomfortable. If you're struggling with hard surface topology or getting those clean cuts in a curved surface, I have a dedicated deep dive into the Boolean modifier and the bevel tool coming up at the 2-hour mark. You might want to skip there if your robot looks more like a toaster than a high-tech enforcer. We also have to consider Sarah. She's the voice of reason, or rather the voice of cynical reality. For her character model, I'm going for a much sharper, more alert silhouette to contrast with Alex's slumped posture. Her facial rig is going to be crucial because most of her acting is in that dry, flat expression. Later on, when we get into the shape keys and drivers section, which starts at the 2-hour and 40-minute point, I'll show you how to create that perfect eye roll animation that Sarah uses to destroy Alex's confidence at 9:03 a.m. It's all about the subtle movement of the eyelids and the slight tilt of the head. As we wrap up the modeling phase of this segment, look at the composition. We're framing the shot so that the Discipline Bot looms over Alex, even though it's smaller than him. It's an enforced calm. Remember, we're using a wide-angle lens to make the room feel cluttered and claustrophobic. If you're interested in the cinematography aspect, how to choose your focal length and camera height to reinforce the story, you can jump to the 3-hour mark where we set up our virtual cameras. But for now, stick with me as we finish these models and prepare them for the most important part of any character, the textures. We need to make that greasy remnant look actually greasy. Let's move on to the shading tab. Would you like me to generate the 3rd segment, focusing on texturing, shading, and setting up the metallic nightmare materials?
This is Alex! He is a warrior of the modern age! At exactly 9 a.m., standing in a room littered with the greasy remnants of 14 separate takeout deliveries, Alex makes a sacred vow. He calls it Operation Pure Vessel. With a deep and solemn voice, Alex declares to the world, "From this moment forward, my life changes. I am initiating the protocol. No more sugary milk tea. No more pointless scrolling. No more meaningless social obligations. I am becoming disciplined." The commitment seems absolute, but his roommate Sarah has seen this all before, usually around 9:03 a.m. With a flat and dry voice, Sarah says to him, "Wow, Operation Pure Vessel. Good luck with that, Captain Self-Control. So, what exactly will you be doing with all this newfound holiness?" Alex looks at her with a serious expression and says, "I will be cultivating inner peace, Sarah, with the help of my new assistant, the Discipline Bot 2000. This assistant is a metallic nightmare. It is a robot with 5 misaligned eyes and a spinning disco ball for an antenna. It speaks in a screeching, monotone electronic voice shouting, 'Alert, subject detected! Prepare for enforced calm!' Self-control is non-negotiable. Do not resist the purity. By nightfall, the pure vessel is cracking. The social obligations have been avoided. Yes, but they've been replaced by a much greater challenge, leveling up in Elden Ring. The robot begins beeping aggressively and screams, "Warning, gaming activity detected, self-discipline protocol compromised, cease and desist," but Alex whispers back with intense focus, "I'm not gaming! You bucket of bolts! I am investing in my cognitive skills! I am mastering a boss!" By 2 a.m., victory is achieved. The boss is dead, but so is the operation. As the guilt arrives heavy and suffocating, Alex finds his true calling, the discipline of total defeat. He unplugs the robot, grabs his phone, and orders a triple bacon midnight fuel meal. While crying and chewing happily at the same time, Alex looks at the ceiling and says, "I am just gonna fail perfectly tonight. Okay, that way I can start actually being disciplined tomorrow. Total reset, 100%. It is a perfectly balanced life. See you at 9 a.m., warrior."